Hi, I'm Edie Eckman. I'm going to show you how to take a skein of yarn like this and wind it into a center pull ball like this that lies nice and flat and pulls out of the center. We'll be using a yarn winder like this one and an umbrella swift that looks like this. I'll begin by clamping my umbrella swift to the tabletop. It comes with a clamp that I can open and it can adjust to fit a number of different tabletops. This is a nice surface that I like to use. So I'll just take it and screw it down. Until it's nice and firm here. And then it's called an umbrella swift because it opens up like an umbrella. I push the button here and I can raise it up and down like this to match the diameter of my skein of yarn. I'll hold off on doing that for just a minute because I need to clamp my yarn winder. Again, it has an adjustable knob here and it clamps onto the table here. And I want to have a little separation between my swift and my yarn winder. I don't want them really close because I like to separate them a little bit and be able to put my hand in between. So I will clamp this down here, and this one I just screw on the top right here till it's nice and sturdy. So I have both of these clamped nicely. If you've ever unwound a skein of yarn, you know that it can go bad pretty quickly. It can get tangled up. So we want to be careful while we're doing this. I'm just going to open it up here and let it untwist because I want to have a nice big circle of yarn. And then I will drape it over my umbrella swift. And make sure that all the yarn is on the outside of the swift, and then I can raise the umbrella or widen it out until it lies nicely in the center of these cross pieces, and it's going to turn. Now we can cut the strands of yarn that hold this skein together. I would not cut them before I have it on my swift ready to go. Now I can take my scissors and carefully find where the yarn is tied. It's tied in several places usually around a skein. I want to look for these cross pieces here and just cut one of them. I only need to cut one because the rest will come unwound. There I have an end, so there's one end free, and I can see where I get to another point here and I have another tie. If I can find the knot, the place where that piece is tied, I can loosen that up too. Okay, that didn't need to be cut because it was actually the other end of the yarn. So let's see, looks like this is going to come off just fine. I can see as I pull it that it's going to run free. It's not getting tangled. So I'm going to wind that back up here a little bit. Now I need to thread my yarn winder. Now, different yarn winders are going to work a little bit differently. In this one, I can either stick the end of my yarn straight through this hole, or I can just bring it up the pole and then around and back down. So I don't actually have to thread it through anything. Then I'm going to take the yarn in and put it into the slot in the top of the holder. I do want to mention that this comes off. If I twist it, this entire piece will come off. But I don't need it off at the moment. So I'm going to secure the end of my yarn into this slot here. That is the yarn tail that we will be able to pull when we finish winding the yarn. To start with, I'm going to go very slowly and crank the handle of the yarn winder. You can see as it comes through this threading hole, it starts to wind around the center of this spool. I want to make sure when I start that this really is coming off smoothly. It's not getting tangled anywhere because the tension between this skein winder and the yarn winder is important. We don't want it to be too tight. Another thing I like to do is I like to actually run it through my fingers very loosely so it has another point, and it may even change direction. I do this so I can feel if there are any uneven spots or sometimes even knots in the yarn. If there's a knot in the yarn, I want to stop, cut it, and then start winding a new ball. I don't want to wind a knot into my yarn if I can help it. So at this point, when it's winding nicely, I'll just wind and wind and wind. I can go at a steady pace. I don't want to go too fast, but I can go pretty fast. Or I don't want to go too slow, that'll take me too long. I just want to go at a nice steady pace. As I wind, I want to make sure that the other yarn tail is not going to get wrapped around the center pole here. I don't want it to catch on anything. I may want to stop and kind of wrap it a couple of times around one of these cross pieces just to keep it in place and to keep it from flying away. As I reach the end of my skein, I might slow down a little bit, because when I come to the end of that spot, let's see, I was winding here and I felt like there was maybe a little uneven piece. I'm going to pull this off and see. Look, I did find a knot, and I felt that knot as I was talking. I felt that knot. I went a little past it, but I came back. I want to definitely cut this knot out. And cut both sides of it. So here's my first center pole ball that is almost the entire skein, but I'm going to start it again because I have the rest of this yarn I want to wind. As I reach the end, I'm going to go a little more slowly because I had taken that yarn tail and wound it around here, and it's going to catch. So now I'm going to unwind it. And there I have a teeny tiny little ball, but I know that neither of these balls has a knot in it. If you'd like more instruction like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the links in the video notes for other ways you can find me. Thanks for watching.